Welcome back, listeners, to a brand new episode of the New Standard. I want to apologize. I've been floating back and forth with the schedule and when we were going to come on this evening. Have some things to do tomorrow evening, so I wanted to make sure we came out with a show. And again, happy week. Steelers are 1-0. As always, you're checking out the New Standard. The title of this week's program is Revenge is a Dish Best Served Cold. And of course, that's in reference to a big matchup with the Denver Broncos as Russell Wilson goes back up to Mile High Stadium or Invesco or whatever it's named now to go up against his former head coach and team in Sean Payton. As always, if you want to participate in the show, hit us with a like and a subscribe. Big up to Ali Howard Species 56118. Big up to Mr. Tummy. Yes, Mr. Tummy, I am starting the show. Hopefully, you will join us. As always, we put the pod out as well. And again, the name of the program is Revenge is a dish best served cold. We're going to talk about some of the game, the previous game. We're going to break down the next game. We're going to talk about Tomlin's press conference and jump into all sorts of things. One thing I do want to say, just from a big macro view, and it just dawned on me. I noticed, and I'm stating the obvious, the Steelers don't play road games. I don't know if Vegas and bookmakers have really thought about that and factored that into point spreads, but the Steelers don't play road games. The Steelers play literally 18 home games. Excuse me, 17. And I said 18 because iOS 18 came out today, and the schedule should be 18 games because it should be even. So you should have a way to go 500. But think about this. The Steelers made the Falcons at home use a silent count. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. That your fan base takes over a place to the point where you make the home team use a snap count, a silent snap count in their own building. I mean, kudos to you, Steeler fans. Take a bow. Steeler fans, we do it all the time. We go to buildings all across the country and absolutely take them shits over. I mean, it is what it is. That's what Steeler fans do. And the Steelers went there and got that dub. Now, the one thing I want to jump into before we jump into the press conference and some of my final thoughts on the game, I just took a step back, right? And looked at the game one. And that the game one felt very Steeler like. It felt very Tomlin esque. It felt like an absolute reflection of the Tomlin way, where Tomlin breeds a toughness and a resolve in his unit that allows them to win ugly and win close games, irrespective of offense. Now, how many teams do you know in the National Football League can win a game at home on the road, scoring 18 points, no TDs, and under 300 yards of offense? How many times have they done that in the past few years? It's the Tomlin way. He wins. And because his teams often play in these type of tightly contested one-score games, he has built a culture around not blinking. His teams don't blink in those moments. That's why they win those games. However, winning ugly consistently in this AFC with all these quarterbacks will get you to the playoffs, Every once in a while, not every year, they'll get you the 6, 7 seed. However, you won't win chips. But here's the difference in me and in this show this year. Here's the positive to that. The base is established that if you can get quality offensive coordination and quality quarterback play, that you've built a foundation of winning where you have a unit that won't blink. Imagine how many games the Tomlin Way would win if the offense was functional. If the offense was way more functional, it would be impossible to beat. And I think Tomlin has gone a long way in trying to address that. And that first starts with Arthur Smith, a coordinator in the National Football League who has coordinated an offense that scored 30 points a game with Ryan Tannehill. That tells you right there that I think Tomlin is now starting to understand they've got to score more points. There needs to be a somewhat of a tweak to the Tomlin way, but the Tomlin way is foundational. It is a foundation to winning. Imagine, let's just say you were great at budgeting. You could stretch $1,000 1,000 different ways. Just imagine what you would do with 10,000. That's what the Steelers are. Imagine what the Steelers would do if they averaged 25 points a game. But getting there is going to be the tough part. And I think Tomlin has started to address that with Arthur Smith. Let me give you some thoughts, my final thoughts on the game. I thought that Justin Fields was much better than I thought, but I will stand by my point to say that hopefully that is the floor level of quarterback play. Because although they won the game, they did not score any touchdowns. And, how many situations are you going to have where you play on the road home, where you get 3 turnovers and you can win a game in that fashion? I mean, we saw it before in previous years in the first game against Cincinnati. I mean, we've seen this again. That's not sustainable. So I think that the quarterback play will have to improve over the course of the season because you can't manage your quarterback in a way and in a fashion and a style where he's trying not to lose games instead of trying to win games. At some point, the quarterback position has to be turned loose. But again, you have to manage it in the game situation. But I thought overall Justin Fields played much better than I originally thought. He did what he was asked. I think he did what a backup does. Go in, don't lose the game, make plays when you can, don't turn over the football, be smart with the football. A punt is better than a turnover. I think the saying is if you end a drive with a P, points, punt, or place kick. I think that's what it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. And listeners, you're checking out the new standard. Revenge is a dish best served cold. I really hope that I got that cliche right because, as you know, I am terrible with cliches. And so, again, my other notes that I wrote down was that Justin Fields played in a way that supported the defense by not turning it over. I also wanted to point out one more thing before we jump into Mike Tomlin's presser. Great tackle by Peyton Wilson on Bijan Robinson's screen in the first quarter. If he misses that tackle, Bijan Robinson is going back to Cali. He's running back to Cali, because nobody would have caught him and nobody would have tackled him, and the game would have been very different. Let me jump into this comment from Ollie Howard Species. He says 8-6 with Duck and Mason, 25 TDs with Pickett and Mitch. The future is unlimited with a professional quarterback in OC. Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt. Absolutely. I think, and that's going to be his cross to bear, is getting this offense to a point where it can support a defense occasionally, where you're playing with 25 points a game. Because good Lord, you give them 25 points a game, they might go 16-1. That's right, it's 17 games, not 18 games. But in terms of Tomlin's presser, and before we jump into the presser on an injury front, the punter is injured for the year. I don't know the new punter's last name, but his first name is Corliss. He did get signed to be the new punter. Used to punt in Denver, so they're bringing him in to punt in this game because of familiarity with punting in Denver, and they have some knowledge of him because he used to be on the practice squad. Dan Moore had an ankle. Roman Wilson is working his way back slowly. The big thing that came out, though, in the press conference, Justin Fields is going to start on Sunday. If Russell Wilson can't play, Russ is the starter. And best believe, if you've ever known anyone who's coached in the NFL, played in the NFL, these cats want to get some get back. Like when they feel like they've been wronged in a situation, oh, they got pride and they want some get back. And I best believe Russell Wilson wants some get back. He want to get all pause, up in pause, Sean Payton pause. He wants all that get back. He want all that. Where, he'll shake his hand, sort of like Kamala shook Trump's hand in a debate. But backstage, Russ wants that get back. So Russ is going to do everything he can to play on Sunday. If Russ does not play on Sunday, the calf is definitely a significant injury. So, and Tomlin again said Russ's participation will be his guide. Always says that. Said that about Big Ike, the first round draft pick. So right now, there is no controversy. Justin Fields is the starter and is going to get work with the ones this week going into the game. Tomlin also talked about that emphatically Fields is the starter. And he also acknowledged the difficulty of playing in Denver, that when you mix the environment, the noise, the altitude, and the altitudes play on physical conditioning in Denver, that it's an extremely tough place to play. He also said that it's going to be very difficult matching up against Sean Payton's scheme and playing chess against Sean Payton. Other things he said is that one thing that he saw in Denver's initial matchup was Payton's use in trying to control the rookie, Bo Nix, control down and distance in the short passing game. So Tomlin said they're going to try to really control down and distance, keep Denver off script, behind the sticks, keeping them off schedule, and stopping the run, including Bo Nix's mobility. The interesting thing in the press conference, he never mentioned Bo Nix's ability to throw the football. And I think when you look at Bo Nix, and you look at Bo Nix on tape, and you look at that game, Bo Nix is not the most talented in terms of arm talent. I think if you can make Bo Nix have to drive the football in the middle of the field, you have a great opportunity. Seattle picked him off a couple of times, got their hands on a lot of balls. I think he has an issue with driving the football. That's just me when I watch him on tape. Also, I thought he played a bit fast. I think he got off reads a bit fast. And I thought he thought he was a little more athletic than he was in the game. And I thought he was surprised on some of the scrambles when he was getting out of the pocket and how he was getting caught on the edge. But again, Tomlin talked about down and distance, keeping him behind the sticks, making him have to drive the football, making him play consistently in third and longs, third and mediums, limiting the number of third and shorts, really putting pressure on the rookie to have to win the game or to have to play very well to have them move the football. And again, he also talked about stopping a run, them running downhill, and them being a physical downhill running team, and that was important that they stop that as well. In terms of his thoughts on defense, gave Vance Joseph a lot of credit. Of course, those guys are familiar with each other. Pointed out Cooper and Browning as a duo on the edge that the Steelers have to block. And he talked about really, and it's interesting that the quarterback stuff is almost a little bit the same. Although Justin Fields is way more athletic and will get you more with his legs than a Bo Nix and has a better arm. He has better physical tools, but they're still working their way through it. And Justin Fields still is very inconsistent in some patches. So that's why you heard Tomlin say in the press conference, staying on schedule, running the ball well, being physical in the running game, and and trying to not have to put the game into Fields' hands where he has to make phenomenal plays and not just consistent plays, because this is a game in which I feel that Bo Nix is going to give them some opportunities to get their hands on the football. In terms of matchups, and what's up, Kenneth McNair? What's up, Big Calvin? What's up, Yens Nation Sports? What's up, everybody out there listening to the program, The New Standard? Revenge is a dish best served cold. I think overall, in looking at this game, one of the 5-star matchups, and just being a football egghead, man, I am dying to see Pat Surtain versus George Pickens. And if you're in the chat right now, who do you think is going to win that matchup? I mean, because Pat Surtain is about the best you can get at the quarterback position. I mean, that's going to be epic. I mean, and the way that the number 2 wide receivers played. What's up, James Galway? Van Jefferson was awful in the game against the Falcons. I believe that Van Jefferson, I think, was responsible for more penalty yards than he had receiving yards. And I would think that in the matchup in this game, particularly in the passing game, they're going to have to get something out of their secondary receiving options. Because right now, given George Pickens' limited route tree and the fact that he plays in the combat catch world, I would have to give the advantage to Pat Surtain. So I think they're going to have to run the ball well, feature Muth, and try to get some of these secondary options in the passing game open, trying to scheme them open. Also, I think you're going to see, if Justin Fields plays, you're going to see him run the ball a lot more. You're going to see a lot more quarterback run game. Because at some point, man, you got to convert third downs. That was one thing as well that Justin Fields did very well in the game. I think the Steelers were 7 of 15, 47%, if I'm right. Let me jump into this comment from Kenneth McNair Jr. I think Surtain will win most of them, but towards the end of the game, Pickens will get some big plays off. His confidence will skyrocket after this week, and he will go on a tear moving forward. That's interesting because I think snap to snap, I think you're absolutely right. I think Pat Surtain will do a good job on Pickens. Pickens is a combat catch guy. And he right now, I don't know if he's nuanced enough as a route runner to create consistent separation against Surtain. And he's not physical enough like the big kid. I'm forgetting the kid's name at Seattle, the big wide receiver that eats 4 or 5 bags of candy every day, along with drinking a bunch of water. I think it's DK Metcalf, the candy holic. He's a physical freak. Debo's a physical freak. Those guys are big physical guys that can win a physical battle against a corner. Um, the way Pickens does it is he's just freakishly athletic. I don't know if it's the strength thing. So I don't think he's going to have an advantage in the matchup against George Pickens. Some other matchups is the interior of the Steelers' offensive line against some of that activity. On the Broncos. And again, like Coach Tomlin pointed out, Cooper and Browning, I think, are going to be a significant challenge on the edges and blocking the edges effectively for the tackles. This is going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a game that looks very much like the Atlanta game. And right now, until the offensive line settles down and stabilizes itself, as well as until that number two receiving option emerges, I think the offense is going to look a little bit of an issue, like a work in progress. And to James's point, Mike Tomlin was very respectful of the altitude and the environment. Is it Invesco? I know it is Mile High as a kid, but I think it's Invesco that Denver poses. But I'm hoping, honestly, that Russell Wilson plays. I mean, I'm a fan of theater. And the football, I think, is the ultimate theater. I would love to see that five-star matchup of Russell Wilson going up against Sean Payton. Because I know both of those gentlemen got egos. Both of those guys want to make sure they show and prove to everyone that they made the right decision. And I would love to see those guys go together. So I'm hoping that Russ gets healthy so Russ can go to Denver and get his lick back. So he can go and get that back. Because he owes Sean Payton something. Because Sean Payton, I thought, was very disrespectful in the handling of Russell Wilson. And I know Russ want to get some get back. He absolutely wants to get some get back. Also, great point. And what's up, young boy 24? Dan Moore's ankle is swollen. We talked about that briefly, but Tomlin seemed to uh, not think that was very serious. But I'm hoping that Roman Wilson works his way back. They need some juice. They need another wide receiving option, not a tight end, a wide receiver. They need another option there because at some point you're going to have to score touchdowns, particularly on the road home. Every game is a home game because I'm going to guarantee you, even in Denver, you're going to have at least 25,000 Steelers fans yelling their ass off and making it hard for Denver to operate that offense. I can't wait to see this game. I think Terrell and Austin and Tom are going to have something up for this young kid. And I think if you watch Bo Nix and the way he performed in the first game, I put the advantage definitely in the hands of the Steelers. I think this is one of those games, given the back half of their schedule, how tough it is. They got to go into Denver and punch these boys in the mouth and get this victory. And I think they're going to do that. It's hard to pick a score for the Steelers because they don't necessarily score touchdowns. So I'm going to say Boswell gets 4 field goals. They score 1 touchdown. What is that? That's 12 plus 7. That the score is like 19-13. That it's a low scoring, 1-score game. They turn over Bo Nix several times, and the game looks pretty much like the Falcon game. And TJ Watt and them boys get busy, turn him over, sack him a few times, and they get out of Denver with the dub. But I'm really hoping that Russell Wilson gets healthy so he can go to Denver and get some get back. He deserves to get some get back. And Tomlin, you know it, is one of those type of dudes that wants to give Russell every opportunity to get some get back. But with that, we're going to go ahead and conclude the show. Pick up the young boy. Man, I hope they do score 2 touchdowns. Ollie Howard Species said, be patient. The team will get stinky and trade a wide receiver. It better happen soon. But with that, We're going to conclude the program. And as always, tune in, tell a friend, and subscribe. Go Steelers. Steelers jump to 2-0 with a big victory against Denver. You'll see.